and welcome back to the Kindred of Vinland. My name is Jacob, and thank you for tuning in today. The first video had a lot more response than I had anticipated. I was really surprised. So thanks to everybody who commented and offered any words of encouragement. Thank you to the Christian folks that also commented. I do want to address a couple of things that were in the comments. I really appreciate them, but I will say there was a few comments that were like basically saying like, your denominations, essentially, the denominations failed you. You need to just get back to Jesus. He's the only thing, etc. I left evangelicalism precisely because of that kind of thinking, that like, you don't need denominations, you don't need this, you just need Jesus. I agree that I don't think you need denominations, but I think you do need to be in the right church if you're a Christian. And I think, my opinion as a historian is those, if you're a Christian, you should be a Catholic or an Orthodox Christian. I think those are your options. Do whatever you feel you need to do. Those are just my opinions. But I left evangelicalism precisely because of that kind of thinking, that, we just need to get back to Jesus, this sort of reductionist view, and I simply just don't. I shed that idea a long time ago, that it's, that it could ever be just me and Jesus and the Bible. I don't think that's biblical, for one, and I don't think it's historical. But I do appreciate the comments. If I ever become a Christian again, it will be Orthodoxy, period. There's no questions about that. So, but I'm happy, I'm at peace with how things are. And I welcome the discussion, but just know where I stand, I guess is what I'm driving at. I've got a little fire going here. It's kind of a brisk morning, but I wanted to start a series. As Christians, we had a Bible. We had the writings of saints and the church fathers, and those were, guiding principles. And in a lot of ways, there's still things that I carry with me as a human being today. The closest thing we have to a scripture, if you want to call it that, is the Havamal, the words of the High One. Some say the words of Odin himself. These words from Odin are not, they're not doctrines, they're not commandments, but they are wisdom. And wisdom is always welcome. So I thought I would do a sort of series on sort of interpreting the Havamal, applying the Havamal to our everyday lives. Anything said here, again, is my opinion. I want to be very clear. You don't have to follow any of this. This is just my opinion. There seems to be a lot of, if somebody says it, then they're claiming sort of an absolutism. That's not what's happening here. So I'm going to stoke up the fire. It's going pretty good. So the words of the High One, the translation that I'm using is, I think, one, that everybody's really familiar with, which is the Jackson Crawford, The Wanderer's Havamal. And I just think it's really a great translation of the ones that I've read, and it's just very easy to kind of access. So we're going to go through the first 5 stanzas, and then I'll probably just do every so often I'll do a video on the next 5 and the next 5, and as long as I feel it's relevant and as long as you, the viewers, are content with it. So the first stanza: at every doorway before you enter, you should look around. You should take a good look around, for you never know where your enemies might be seated within. I think anytime, this could be applied to any kind of situation, really. Anytime you're entering a new situation, or you're entering a new phase of life, or whatever it is, it's good to take stock of your surroundings. It's good to take stock of those things that might hinder you on your journey. And so this one's pretty, that's a pretty straightforward piece of wisdom. Take stock, look around, see what things might be lurking in the shadows that you might not have seen right away. So then it says, hail to a good host. A guest has come inside. Where should he sit? He is impatient, standing on the threshold, ready to try his luck. I've read other translations of this one where there's like swords involved, or like he's basically trying to like impress. But I think the thing to take away from this, and this is a theme that'll run through the Havamal, is the good host. Being a good host. The guest has come inside. Where shall he sit? He is impatient, standing on the threshold. So my interpretation of that, I guess, would be, welcome somebody in. Don't make them feel like they have to linger, or that they have to impress you with some kind of, feat to be hospitable to them. And this hospitality, like I said, will continue to run through the Havamal. He needs a fire, the one who has just come in. His knees are shivering. Food and dry clothes will do him well after his journey over the mountains. So again, hospitable. We come into contact with a lot of people, and I think a pagan trait, or one at least that should be a pagan trait, is hospitality, taking care of people, and I think generally, that's a good trait, and it's an honorable trait, But bearing in mind the first stanza, as you go about these things of like, look around, take stock, I think there should be a healthy, when we let somebody into our space, there's like kind of a healthy, like, let's figure this person out. Let's not be hasty to like, maybe give them everything, or let them too close right away. But also this hospitality. So the fourth stanza: he needs water, the one who has just arrived, dry clothes and warm welcome from a friendly host, if he can get it, a chance to listen and be listened to. That's a really important one. Listening, being a good listener. Anybody who's maybe familiar with the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, I think I'm pronouncing that right. He's said some good things about like being a good listener, and how listening can be like one of the most important things that you do for a person. So that kind of reciprocity of listening, being listened to, can be a very good thing. And once again, the host, being a good host. You bring him in, you give him dry clothes, you give him a warm welcome, give him water, give him, the food that he needs. And then the fifth stanza, and where we'll stop, is: a man needs wisdom if he plans to wander widely. Life is easier at home. He'll be laughed at if he sits among the wise and has nothing to say. So Odin, as we know, greatly prizes wisdom, and I think wisdom is such a, even as a Christian, the wisdom of Solomon, this kind of gaining of wisdom is such a great thing to pursue. And we have this example, of Odin, seeking out wisdom, seeking out the rune, the knowledge of the runes, and so he becomes a kind of an example for us in these writings, an example for us to seek out this wisdom. And that'll kind of be the next topic in the next 5 stanzas, as we move on into the next set of 5. So I'll stop there for now, but these are pretty, these are going to be pretty simple, just kind of, they're pretty self-explanatory, but I thought maybe discussion and talking about them will kind of help, maybe it'll help somebody. Maybe it's what you needed to hear. So anyway, as I end this, thank you so much. I'm very pleased with the response from the first video, and I'm excited to continue making these. Thanks for watching, and if you can, go over to Instagram and follow Contemporary Pagan Artist. That's my Instagram page, and I'm trying to promote different artists that I appreciate in the pagan community, and I'll be talking more about my reasons for that in the future, in some future videos, and I'll feature some of the artists on some future videos as well. I've got a lot of cool things planned, I think, in general for the channel, so stick around and stay tuned.